So I see we have a little bit of a capacity issue, but I'm going to do something that they didn't expect, and I'm going to ask my family to come up here and stand next to me while I speak. So Donna and Lacey and Morgan, can you come up here? And then we're going to fix that phone.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. This dais has got me a little screwed up with all these mics here, so. So Rancho High School, how about that, guys? Hey. Rancho. So you're probably wondering, why did I pick Rancho High School? Because this is where I graduated from, right? 1980, successfully graduated. I was on the verge. But I pulled it out. And as you can see, I stand before you as a successful graduate of Rancho High School. So there's some other folks here in the audience that were also graduates of Rancho High School, and I hope they don't mind if I point them out. So one of them, a very close friend of mine, is Bobby Ellis. We didn't graduate the same year. So I think he was here when they were still pouring the mortar for the walls. And then one of my best friends, Scott Killebrew, who's right here in the front here.
Class of 79, baby.
No, not me. Class of 79, and you were 79 at Bonanza. Did you go with Mark?
Yes. That's what I'm talking about.
And then Scott, we became friends because he used to protect me. He kept me from getting beat up around the corner here. And no, I'm just joking. And Vic up here in the front, he's a fellow Rancho grad. And Joe, I don't know if you went to Rancho, did you?
No, sir.
No? Well, it was probably good you didn't go. So, but Vic right up here in front, former deputy chief from North Las Vegas, he went to Rancho, and it just shows you the success and the dedication we have for our local community, and us being homegrown is even more important as we run for the office of governor. I think it's important for people to know that me standing before you, I've been here a long time, and Nevada is very important to me, and the success of the state is very important to me, and hopefully we'll continue in that vein, and that brings us home to Rancho High School. And before I get into my words, there's a young lady over there against the wall who owns this place. She's the principal. And she was the one you didn't talk to when you were in school, remember? You tried to avoid her, but Darlene Delgado, the principal of Rancho High School. I think it's important for us to recognize her because of that effort in the community. And I mean, principal of a high school is a very tough job, and she's very successful, and she created this environment that we're sitting in, which didn't look like it when I was here. So when I came here, you know, I'm going to make up a little story right here. When I came here, I went to the wrong entrance because when I went here, the school was completely turned around, and none of it was indoors like it is today. And so kids have it a little bit better than we. You know, I walked 300 miles in the snow, you know, that kind of stuff. So, but I think it's important for you to hear that. Darlene, I appreciate everything you do for the community and the school district and the success of our kids. Without further ado, let me get into it. Rancho High School, a perfect reminder that a prosperous future begins with our children, encouraging their growth and development, and providing them with the tools to become the next generation of visionaries. I just had a chance to visit with some of the students. Right across the hall here, there was 4 kids in summer school. So when I went to school, you were in trouble when you went to summer school, right? And I had occasion to do that when I was in school. But these kids do it because it helps them receive credit sooner than later, gets them prepared for college, or whatever trade they choose to, or whatever direction they choose to go. But luckily, this morning I went in there and they were making sourdough bread. So Rancho is a culinary technical school. It includes culinary, and that's part of their curriculum, and they told me all the nuances of sourdough bread, which I didn't know there was. I thought there was one basic ingredient with it, but they informed me I was wrong. And so they walked me through that, but it was important for me to see their enthusiasm. I asked them what it was like to learn in a pandemic. It was encouraging to hear the optimism. Despite the fact that our governor denied an entire generation of students months of critical education, social interaction, and activities like sports, music, and theater, it was a reminder that our children want to be optimists. They want to learn, they want to succeed, and they want to make the world a better place. Our governor opposes school choice and has failed to provide a plan to reduce class size. As governor, I will block any attempt to force critical race theory on our public school children. We can teach our children to respect each other and treat everyone with dignity. We must bring back a focus on trades so Nevada can attract good paying manufacturing jobs, and we must do a better job of keeping our best and brightest right here in Nevada. It is easy to criticize the governor for copying the worst policies of some of the most liberal governors in the country. I think of one right next to Nevada. And there's no denying that Steve Sisolak is the most partisan governor in Nevada history, but anyone, well, nearly anyone, could campaign simply on being less isolated and less partisan. Our campaign is different. It's about ideas. It's about returning some vision, collaboration, communication, and leadership to the office. We have a governor and legislature focused on protecting their own party, guaranteeing single-party rule so they can introduce state income tax, raise your property taxes, and advance public policy that would make Bernie Sanders blush. That was actually a funny line, wasn't it? Did you get that one? See, Rancho got it. Single-party rule has led to higher taxes, new regulations, and erosion of our individual freedoms. So let me draw a line in the sand. I will veto any new taxes that the legislature sends my way. I think that bears repeating. Again, I will veto any new taxes. This is an important part here, folks, and it brings us home with law and order. Single-party rule has led to politicians focusing on felons' rights, prioritizing criminals over victims, weakening penalties for crimes, and handcuffing the police. That isn't sustainable behavior for any state, let alone a state that relies so heavily on tourism. While Portland, Seattle, and Baltimore gave in to rioters, looters, and vandals, we instituted a zero-tolerance policy for violence. Let me be clear, I will always stand up for the rights of anyone to peacefully protest, but if you intend to bring harm to our people, our communities, or those visiting our community, you will face the full force of the law. Our short and long-term prosperity is dependent upon the rule of law and on a fair and honest judiciary that respects and protects the Constitution without bias or partisan influence. The rule of law should extend to our election process. We should all want open and secure elections where everyone has confidence in the results. We must undo the reckless partisan policies out of Carson City and replace them with election law that is transparent, honest, and fair. Let's demand voter identification and eliminate ballot harvesting, as well as repeal the new practice of mailing ballots to people who do not request them. I support a bipartisan election integrity commission to oversee our elections and guarantee fairness. I support a nonpartisan or bipartisan redistricting commission so voters have a better chance to elect candidates of their choice rather than being boxed into districts designed to benefit a particular political party. I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. Now that just isn't rhetoric, right, Mike? Just isn't rhetoric. I've carried a gun every day for more than 30 years. In the Army, as a cop, and as your sheriff, I will always support the rights of law-abiding citizens to responsibly own and carry guns. Further, I am the only candidate in the race who made and kept a promise to eliminate Clark County's gun registry. While political candidates and committees profit from the dysfunction of federal government, states are forced to deal with the problems. America is a nation of laws that must be followed with borders that must be protected. But we're also a nation that should welcome legal immigration, working with a system that rewards rule followers, but as a zero tolerance policy for those who don't. When the ACLU and a liberal California judge, Liesel, for those of you who don't know, that's my attorney sitting there. She's the one that protects my back. When the ACLU and a liberal California judge denied us the opportunity to use federal database to determine the true identity of criminals, we adjusted and dedicated more internal resources to identifying and deporting violent criminals. I need that to sink in a little bit. There's been a lot of rhetoric out there that I have created a sanctuary jurisdiction, and that is absolutely not true. What we did is adjust, moved resources, and addressed the problem to move forward versus backing up and say, we raised our hands and gave up. It's important for people to realize that. America cannot have a dignified and respectful immigration policy without defending our borders, protecting our citizens, and removing those who wish to do our nation and our people harm. One of the things that has made Nevada great is our wide variety, diversity, and leaders who focus on creating opportunity for all Nevadans. Nevadans believe that if you work hard and play by the rules, that you can create your own American dream, as I. But the current governor chooses the winners and losers. This isn't right, and it's time to take back our state for all Nevadans. As sheriff, I relied upon a multicultural advisory committee to work through community and law enforcement challenges to help us better understand the sources of conflict and diffuse difficult situations. Creating a committee isn't unique in politics, but listening to its members is. At Metro, everyone has a seat at the table, but in Carson City, that just isn't the case. That ends the day I'm sworn in. The Metro Multicultural Advisory Committee, MMAC, has written or changed policies addressing derogatory social media, our gang database, recruiting, and diversity training. Those are just a few of their accomplishments. The important piece is we didn't refuse to listen. We collaborated for solutions. I will set a clear vision as governor, and my administration will advance towards specific goals consistent with that vision, relying on our leadership, experience, and commitment of a diverse group of Nevadans. Interesting piece I received recently, somebody close to the current administration, is our governor has failed to meet with his leaders. And I think it's an important piece to provide leadership and vision and direction that has to occur. That simple task is really troublesome to me. And it's one of the biggest failures associated with leadership. So it bothers me to no end, and I can see the direction we're going as a result of that. I think it's important for you to know, I grew up here, went to school here, and after serving in the Army, came back here to serve and protect Nevadans. I've been proud to stand up for the victims of crime and stand up for those who wish to do us harm. I am a proud veteran, a former beat cop, and the chief executive of an agency that prides itself on being tough and accountable. Sink that in, tough and accountable. I will stand by my record as your sheriff for the last 7.5 years and my last 33 years on the police department on how our police department has performed, protected the community, and I believe a fantastic job. This is an important piece, folks. I have been elected twice as a conservative in our state's bluest county. I have never compromised our principles to get elected and won't do so now. Today, I'm standing here to announce my candidacy for governor because if we don't put an end to the single-party rule, eroding our state of the values, laws, and opportunities to make Nevada great, we won't have a lot left to fight for. For those you don't know, I'm Sheriff Joe Lombardo. I'm running for governor, and I hope you will join me in taking back our state.